Hi everyone, so today 7 Artisans finally announced their Infinite Cinema Prime lenses. These are full frame f2.1 lenses with f2.4 and f2.5 at the farthest ends of the set. And I'm going to shrink myself down here and we're going to go over all the information I was able to find about these lenses. Woo! Oh, that's too small. There we go. That's better. So the lenses come in 2 color flavors, black and white. And for me personally, I'm really interested in the white lenses because up here in Canada, when I'm filming in the winter, there's snow and it gets pretty cold. But in the summer, the flip side is that I can often be filming in like 40-degree weather, so I see white lenses as being able to reflect that light away. Now we're going to go through a couple things here, but I want to talk about why I like these lenses. So number one, they're PL mount lenses, or you also have it where if you buy these lenses, you can adapt them to EF, or you can buy them with the EF and then adapt them to PL. And what I like about this is that using adapters, you can pretty much go to any modern cinema camera mount out there, which is nice because this is a, buy once lens, and then you can just adapt it to whatever camera that you get. The old adage, you date the camera, you marry the lenses. Now, 7 Artisan has a bunch of adapters that are available, and obviously there are plenty of other PL to whatever mount that you might want adapters out there, but also things like speed boosters and adapters that detune and adapters that add ND filters and a bunch of other stuff. Now, I'm hopeful that the back focus on the lenses into the PL mount will allow a lot of these adapters to be used. It's one of the things that I've looked at some of the other lens sets I'm considering and has been a negative. And if that's possible, that means that opens a lot of possibilities to buy this clean but not clinical lens set and then go and basically adapt and filters and whatnot to it to be able to get the look that you want without having to go out and buy multiple sets of lenses. As they are cinema lenses, obviously the design is standardized. The gearing rig is 0.8, and the focus and the aperture ring are in line with each other when you adapt them onto the camera. This is obviously made so that if you switch one to another in your rig, all you have to do is remove the lens, put it back in, and everything else should just basically be able to fold back into place, and you can continue shooting on your set. 7 Artisan also claims that these lenses have effectively minimal breathing, within plus or minus 0.1 degree, which is really, really small. Again, we don't have any footage to show of this lens breathing, but they did show this lovely picture, which we can kind of see here that there doesn't appear to be a huge amount of lens breathing. You kind of see here in the corner where we have this little part here. When it defocuses it, it doesn't look like it moves at all, which is nice. And again, you can sort of see here on the edge where the mount is. You can see here the mount being defocused. It looks like it's in the same position. So this is really good. The other thing that's nice about this lens set is 330 degrees on every single lens. So this means that when you connect it, calibrate it, and set up your system, you have those nice, long, smooth focus throws, which is something I really enjoy as I've been playing around with different lenses versus some of the lenses I've historically used, which have very, short focus throws, which makes it difficult to get accurate focus. Plus, that lens is crazy fast, and that obviously focus is really loose. So a must for cinema lenses. The Infinite series full frame cameras are also, obviously by their name, full frame with an imaging circle of 43.5 millimeters. Most of the lenses are T2.1, with one lens being T2.4 and one lens being T2.5 on the wider and telephoto size of the lens. While this is not ideal completely to have the same t-stop across the entire line, this is obviously done for weight, size, and price considerations. And given that most of the lenses are actually T2.1, you're only going to run into this problem when you're into the extremes of the range. And T2.1 is actually a really good video t-stop. Obviously, everyone would love to shoot faster lenses, but for videography and cinematography, yes, shooting at 1.2 is a lot of fun, but trying to nail focus and handling of the scene with such a sharp, narrow depth of field runs into a lot of problems in terms of like being able to get the whole body in focus versus just say your nose, your ears, or your eyes. One of the reasons why a lot of photo lenses have really good autofocus is because they need to keep the eye in focus as they're moving in and out, because it's such a shallow depth of field. At T2.1 or T2.8, you can generally get your whole subject person in focus in most shooting situations that you're going to do in cinema, at the same time as giving a nice shallow depth of field. They did include a nice photo here of this horse, and you can see here that there's a lot of really good depth and contrast around his eyes, this braiding here, and down his mane, and a bit of the rope here. But his nose is a little out of focus, and his rider is definitely getting out of focus, and then the background sort of starts to blur away, and it all looks pretty good, but it's obviously not like super narrow focus where it's, your horses have long faces, guys, so yeah, this ends up being pretty good. The other thing to consider also is that, if they're showing some bokeh balls, I cannot say if this was actually shot with the lens or not. I'm hoping that we're going to see some more footage with lights in the background coming out, but until then, we're getting some ideas of transitions and photos. Again, with grain here, this is a really nice shot, color-wise and stuff like that, but also focus, you can sort of see some of the grain here is in focus, but then you have the grain that's, in the foreground, the background are nicely out of focus, and they're starting to blur quite nicely, and in the background, clouds are just, they're clouds there, but they're nicely diffused. The next thing I like about these lenses is that they have multi-coating on them, and I'm gonna say right now, again, I haven't shot with these, I have not seen any footage being shot with these. We're working off the photos that 7 Artisan itself released from, I guess, people who've had really early access, but look at this. The sun, I'm assuming, is right up here in this top corner, and you can see here that while there is, a little bit of loss of contrast a bit across this photo, there's no light streak, there's no flare, there's nothing on this photo that is really saying, hey, this is a character of the lens that you just have to live with. That's really nice. Here's another photo that they have provided, and again, we're seeing here this girl with this little knife, but you can see here that we got lighting here in the background that's really well controlled. You can see the lighting in her eyes, but there's no flaring and control over her. You even have some neon lights in the background, and while this is all really nicely shot, it's also this idea being that this is a nice clean look, but again, it's not so digitally sharp that this looks like a video. Another nice nano coating picture is here. Now we're just shooting straight into the sun, and you can see here that there's definitely a haze in the image, but overall I'm not seeing any flaring at all in this image, and you're still getting good contrast here at the edges, and we can also see here that it's sharp here. There's some sharpness here, but overall this looks really good. And again, it has that nice little, I want to use the word fall off, I'm not sure if that's the right word, let me know in the comments, but as you go to the edges here, you're sort of seeing that the parts that are out of focus are looking pretty good, but also I'm not seeing a lot of longitudinal chromatic abrasion. I'm not seeing a lot of red stuff. Obviously this image is slightly green. That looks like that's a tree edge there that's there, but yeah, no, this looks really, really good. So there's a couple more images that I've been able to get. This one is a deer, which is yay for me, because I want to shoot a lot of wildlife with this in addition to narrative content. You can see here again, there's this deer. This looks like a very mellow shot. It looks absolutely fantastic. We go here and we can sort of see here that this is some grain. You can get some nice detail here. Now, one thing I will say is that these are sized up images from what was available, so I'm hoping that there's a little bit more detail in these, but this is what I was able to get so far off of various websites. Now, talking about the actual set itself, as I mentioned before, it comes in 16, 24, 35, 50, 85, 105, and 135 lenses, which then converts to this angle field of view, and overall you can see that this is a nice spread out lens set, which obviously it's going to be the case because I think most camera company, lens manufacturers, etc., basically sit with these numbers, so that this is kind of the known, give or take a few millimeters one way or the other. In this whole lens set overall, I would say this is a good spread. The only one lens I'd say that's a little off is the 105. While I'm happy to see it in this lens set, I do feel that it is a little bit, that you could probably get away with the 85 and the 135, but at the same time I'm kind of disappointed to not see a 40 millimeter lens, as I like to shoot with 45 millimeter lenses rather than 35 and 50, sort of get just one lens instead of those two. My own personal preference, but to have seen a 12 millimeter lens just for those super ultra wide establishing shot images, and because again I do a lot of nature photography, landscape shots, be done. Now obviously I can, for those shots, just simply use a regular photo lens because you don't tend to do a lot of focus tracking, etc. But again, one of those things of, if I had a wish for everything, again, I would have liked to have seen a 40 and a 12, just simply because for me, I would have gone with the 12, 16, 24, 40, and then gone with the 85 and the 135 if I could pick anything in the world. So here's a nice close-up shot of a apparently number 000 lens in white. Again, I mentioned before I really like the white lenses, so I thought here's a good close-up image. And you can see here that it has the infinite markers in meters on the inside outer barrel, and then, as I showed before, it has the feet on the inside cutout. Let me know what you think about this design. For me personally, being Canadian, I'm used to dealing with meters and feet, so obviously I know distance in both of those scales. Now, if you do decide to buy the full lens set, you can get a custom protective storage box for it. Again, it's like this Pelican or Nanook style box, which is like waterproof and whatnot, but it has the foam cutouts to fit the lenses, and there are 7 holes in the box, plus a space for more boxes, and then I guess this is a spot for an adapter. Overall, this is good, and you can sort of see here that each spot is numbered for the different scales that you want. So on the plus side, this shows that you can get the whole box, etc. But on the slight negative side, when I was talking about other lenses I like to see, it doesn't look like they've left any extra holes for future lenses. So we'll have to see where that goes in the future. But for right now, I think those 7 lenses are going to cover like 99% of most cinematic shooting. Okay, so here's a spec chart of the lenses. So overall, you can see here that the 16mm is f2.5 to T22. Most of the lenses in the set are T2.1 to T22, and the 135 on the other end is T4 to T22. Again, it would have been nice if they were evened out, but overall, this is not a big issue in my personal opinion, because it's going to be rare that you're going to use a 16 or 35 in those shots, and in both those situations, you just have to bump up a light a little bit, or if you're shooting already at, say, T2.4, 2.5, or T2.8, which is, common or slower, then this is not going to be a huge issue for you. Aperture blades are 10, 11, 17. 17 is a little bit of a crazy number, but this is probably going to give you really good bokeh. Again, this is something we haven't seen in the pictures that I'm hoping to show as more information for these lenses come out. And you can see here that full frame and APS-C field of view are provided. And if the back intrusion of the PL mount is not too much, or you go with the EF mount and you get an adapter that gives you focal reduction, there's a good chance that you'll be able to get a focal reducer in between there, which, given that they're most about 0.71, would give you about T 1.5 operating speed for most of the lenses, which is actually really nice. Now, the one downside I have of this lens set for me personally is the filter size. So the 16mm is 86 millimeters in diameter, and I don't know filters that are 86 millimeters. The rest of the lenses are 82 millimeters, which is a common cinema size. Unfortunately, I'm coming from the film side, so most of my filters are 77. So if I decide to go with these lenses, I'm going to have to buy some bigger filters, like the Nisi Mag set, or I'm going to have to go with a matte box and a set of 4-inch filters. Minimum focusing distance for these lenses is pretty reasonable. I would have liked to have seen the 16 and the 25 be a little bit closer. And the 105 millimeter, as I said before, is a bit of an odd pick of the lens because it shares the 1 meter focus distance with the 135. So the 135 actually provides a bit more macro capability, and the 85 can focus closer. So again, it's one of those things, if you're gonna get the full set, that sounds great, but I would be remiss to buy just the 105 on its own. The focus travel for all of these lenses is 330 degrees, which is really nice if you like to pull really long, smooth focuses. This is something I've been practicing myself recently, so that's something to consider, but it is a manual focus lens. It's not fly-by-wire, which is also something that I'm looking forward to testing. Aperture travel is a little different for all these lenses, but it's about 80 degrees. And again, the gear pitch is the industry standard M0.8. Now, one thing I note that is missing from this chart is weight. And that's a big issue for people who shoot a lot of gimbal, but it also can be a big issue for people who have different types of rig setups, etc., where they want to balance it and whatnot. I'm assuming these lenses are going to be probably close to weight, but given the weight is not here, this could be quite a bit of a range, particularly when you look at the fact that the optical structure of all these lenses is significantly different. So we'll have to see if I can get some information from 7 Artisan on the weight of the lenses, and if I can follow that up with a later video. So as I mentioned at the starting of the video, these lenses are available now. You can order them on the 7 Artisans website, which I'll have a link below. It's probably going to be affiliate because this is YouTube. But depending on what you want to buy, the pricing of the lenses is slightly different, with the 16 being the most expensive at $889 US, and the 50 millimeter being $719, with the rest basically being about $750 or $800, depending on which one you pick. $799, sorry. And $799, $759, and $759. But you can buy them obviously in packages, with the basic set being 35, 50, and 85. With the basic set being 35, 50, and 85 millimeters, with it coming in at $2,237. If you want to get the master set, which I'm not sure why it's called the master set, because I guess 24 makes a good reason to get that one for the, again, wide establishing shots. It comes in at just over $3,000. If you want the supplementary set, which is basically everything the master set doesn't have, that comes in at just under $2,500. And then of course you can get the complete set, which comes in at just over $5,500, which when I sit down and do quick math, comes out at about $789 per lens. So just under $800 plus taxes, shipping, and all that stuff. You can get EF mount, which comes with the PL set, or the PL mount, which comes with the EF set parts. So basically, what would you like the factory to put together? Personally, I'd say get the PL mount, unless you are used to using Canon EF lenses, just simply because with PL, I'm assuming that they need to be shimmed properly. And again, the color being available is black or white. And then obviously you can buy as many as you want, apparently, and you can add to your cart, pay with PayPal, purchase it, use it on multiple projects so that it'll eventually pay for itself, but also have it where it's price-wise, as I said, $800 a lens, give or take whichever lens you're gonna get. Ends up being one of those things where it's like, yes, it's gonna take me a while to raise that money, but at the same time, I'm like, once I have that lens set and I'm using that lens set and I get used to using it, I can use it on pretty much any and every project I can have. And if I want to dirty the image up or whatever, there's so many different adapters and filters and stuff like this that, you know, if I have a particular project with a particular shot, I can just rent that item, even if it's a pain to get out here, or if it's something where I see I'm going to use a lot more, I can get it. But I'm definitely wanting to get a lens set. So if you want to follow my craziness on that, feel free to hit subscribe. I am definitely moving my way towards doing more cinematic work and more cinematic wildlife work, because I do love filming animals out in the wild as well. But it's getting to that point of saying, yes, I want to get out there, I want to do these things, and then I want to have the gear to make it as easy as possible, because trying to do this, you know, as an amateur is one thing, but also trying to do it professionally. You want to streamline your processes down to this works every time, and you have a consistent output, which means you need to have a consistent set of lenses. Thanks for watching, and check out these two videos.